Hi, I'm Lauren Epstein. Welcome back to another episode of The Lauren Epstein Show here on 96.7 FM, Arlington, Virginia. Today we are going to talk about inspiration. And we're going to talk about what it is to be a worker owner and the idea of cooperative. I have some really awesome guests. In fact, Juan Reid just laid down a rap that I don't know where we're going to probably put it on the website because it's freaking awesome. I could probably play it on the radio. We'll put it in the show and just bleep out that one word.
Okay.
But because this is like radio. Yeah. But it was awesome, man. That was awesome. So Juan is a native of Washington, D.C. He entered the criminal justice system as a boy and spent over 14 years in prison. Upon reentry into his community, he made a commitment not only to heal himself, but to do everything in his power to better the lives of others. He helped to start Tightshift Laboring Cooperative, a worker-owned cooperative that offers services such as moving, landscaping, and cleaning. The business provides work and healing for its members. Juan believes deeply that unity is crucial for sharing liberation. Juan, welcome to the show.
Thanks. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
How do you feel after that rap?
I feel like I released.
Yeah.
I got a lot in me.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah.
That was great. You couldn't hear a pin drop in this room, man. It was awesome. And also on the show, his co-conspirator, and I want to hear more about your story, but Allison, am I saying this right? Basile?
Basile.
Mm-hmm. Allison Basile. Allison believes in the inherent kindness, generosity, and genius in all people, and spends her days creating the spaces that bring those qualities out in others. She co-founded Tightshift Laboring Cooperative, one of Washington, D.C.'s only worker-owned cooperative businesses, which is comprised primarily of formerly incarcerated people and people who are at risk of going down that path. She helped to start the DC Time Bank, Impact Hub DC, Co-op DC, and peer study groups. Allison, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having us.
So the reason we have you all on is because we had Michael Peck from Madrigon and on the show, and he highly recommended that we talk to you guys, that you have a great story. And it really is a great story. I mean, we talk about a lot of things on the show, but this one, in my mind, is completely uplifting. And I'm not going to tell it for you, Juan, but I'd like to kind of start with the end in mind. So if you're listening to the show, I want you to think about what would be possible if you could create the kind of livelihood that you really wanted to create. So it's not about the job, but what kind of livelihood you want to create for yourself and for your community and for your family, and allow yourself to embrace that youthful optimism and that possibility of possibilities. And Juan, I want you to just share, like, so where'd you come from? What was the incarceration component and around that time? What happened?
Around the time I was incarcerated?
Yeah, like where did you start?
I'm from DC, and I'm from the Bloomingdale area, North Capitol, Rhode Island section of DC, and like my mother was a teenager on drugs, traumatized. I never knew my real dad, and my community raised me. And in my community, you even sold drugs or you was using them, and that's all I seen, and that's all I known. And when I was 10, I entered the criminal justice system because it was a community center in my neighborhood, which is called the Crispus Attic Park, and it was for us to play basketball, had little programs. They was getting funding, but it was being used as a drug house for the people that worked there to use drugs. So one day I burnt it down. So this ain't for that. We shutting it down. And I was 10, and that's when I first entered to this system, man. From then on, it was like I never did a year straight in the streets since I was 13. And once I turned 18, I caught an attempted murder case because somebody tried to rob me, and I stabbed them. And, like, I had to survive all my life. Like, imagine, like, just being in constant fear of your life, constant danger every time you wake up. Like, and it just traumatized me. And in jail, that's when I really started to see that this wasn't no destiny. Like, this is just things black people go through. This is just life. That's how I live. Like I just live like this is our hand. This is all we got called for. And I didn't believe that or know or realize that life is what you make it. We amazing human beings. We can be whatever we want. It's systems in place that trick our mind to make us think we can't. And I seen it in prison. That's when I first seen it. And this is a plot against people. It's about control the resources. And in jail, I was tortured. Like I was put in solitary confinement for 7 years. My last 7 years. Because I found out they was making Victoria's Secret underwear for 12 cents an hour. And I was screaming. I was trying to write letters to the streets, and they was intercepting them, and I guess that was their punishment. And I just grew up like that, like just believing nothing in myself. And once I realized that, okay, it's time to change. How can I really fight back? And it was like I had to sacrifice myself physically and go through the chain down, go through being maced, being gassed, being left in a room on a concrete slab like Jesus for 7 days. They'll put you on a 7-day bag lunch every day, a bologna sandwich, an apple, and a milk every day, every meal. They want to break you, and I was accepting it. I was laughing. I was making them to think like, don't let them break you. We way more than this physical flesh. It's way more to us than physical flesh. And they didn't break my spirit. That's all I had. And I wrote. I wrote everything. I wrote how I felt, and I got through. So I came home, and now I realize we set up to fail. In the chaos, I was normal. It was normal for me. 3 meals a day, guaranteed. No rent, no bills, no phone, no internet. I don't have to worry about none of that. I come out here, it's a whole different world. You ain't staying nowhere. People, wherever you stand, people want like, when you gonna get a job? They ain't gonna give me one. My homie got some drugs for me and a gun. I can get that easy. Ain't nobody gonna hire me with my record. So I found myself on a run. The police looking for me. I'm on drugs. I'm homeless. I'm telling my people I'm living with friends, but I'm not because I don't want them to stress out over me. And I remember the time, it was my birthday. I turned 33, and I was sleeping in a van across the street from a shelter on New York Avenue. And my mom called me, wished me happy birthday, and was like so proud of me. Oh man, you doing it together. I'm lying about jobs on the internet, like, yeah, I'm like everything. And I just cried because I know I can actually make her proud. And I just had it's gonna be hard. And I've been through hard stuff before, so I just transformed it, and I told myself right then, like, nah, this ain't what you want. So I started going on Craigslist on my birthday, and I found somebody wanted some snow shovel, and I got there and I shoveled some snow, and I just started grinding, and I met Allison.
How'd you meet Allison?
Allison living in my old neighborhood that I grew up in.
We met in that same park that he referenced in the beginning.
Yep.
Which is now like a dog park.
Yeah. So I met Allison, and she was like into everything she was into, the time banking, the looking at people and seeing them for what they are. And I never really received that because, not even at home, because they was gone off drugs. So I received love and support, and somebody believed in me, and that was the seed that it just sprouted. That's all people need. And we here. We got a couple of friendly little grants from some organizations. We went on a few learning journeys.
Well, hang on, I want to get to that, but so Allison, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
And what were you doing when you met Juan?
So when I met Juan about 3 or so years ago, I had been in DC for 7. I'm from Maryland. And for the last 10 or so years, I've been kind of exploring and asking questions about if this isn't working, if this system isn't working, then what are alternatives?
What systems you mean?
I mean capitalism, I mean white supremacy, I mean the idea that people's goal in life should be to get a good job and take care of themselves and their nuclear family, and we shouldn't really change anything drastic about how we're interacting with the earth, all of those things. So I've been on that exploration basically for the last 10 or so years, and learned about the solidarity economy, the new economy, basically, instead of just reforming what we have now, asking for $15 an hour minimum wage, how do we shift some of the root causes of our problems? Who owns and controls everything in our society? And that's where solidarity economy comes in. So it's basically about how can the different components of our lives, how land is stewarded, how housing works, food, work, can be democratic and just, and specifically accounting for past racial and other injustices. So I had been getting really into cooperatives, just really curious, why don't we have more in DC?
Where did you hear about cooperatives?
I was, I don't know where I first learned about cooperatives. I was working in a field called impact investing and social enterprise, this idea of using finance for social good or business for social good. And there was always this, it was sort of an interesting idea, but there was often in those spaces something missing, which was the people who were being spoken about serving weren't in the room. And so when I first learned about cooperatives during my organizing in DC, I started getting involved. There's the U.S. Federation of Worker Cooperatives. I was a part of a group in 2012 that came together after someone named Adjo Ifiteo did a report back from Mondragon at the Emergence Community Arts Center in DC.
And to our listeners who don't know, so Mondragon is a co-op in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And they have been around since World War II, and it's about $16 billion or $17 billion in revenue. So it's a big business, and it's a cooperative, which real quickly means that all the people that work there own the business. There's no investor, it's not on the stock market, and there's no one owner. So in doing that, it makes it for a really nice lifestyle. Like nobody gets uber rich, but everybody has what they need. And the community is taken care of, and the people are taken care of, and everyone has good work. So I just wanted to make sure folks know, but go ahead.
Thank you for that. Yeah, exactly. I think it's the equivalent of the 7th largest corporation in Spain. So in the U.S., the biggest worker co-op is 2,000 people, healthcare in the Bronx in New York City. But yeah, elsewhere they're way more developed and much bigger, and there's tremendous potential. So I was a part of groups that started exploring cooperatives. DC has a lot of housing cooperatives, many of which are under attack, but they provide a lot of the affordable housing that we do have. And so, yeah, just over the years, building with other people, learning about DC's cooperative history, and eventually saying, okay, this has been great talking and learning, and it's time to try something out. It's time to do something. And around that time, I met Juan, and Juan was totally into the idea. And we've been building Tightshift ever since.
So it was 3 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And when you said the idea, what was the idea?
The idea was to start a worker cooperative. We have less than 5 in Washington, D.C. Most are in startup mode. So, yeah, we were just ready to start a worker cooperative business. And meeting Juan, it kind of was born, and it was going to focus on primarily people who've been in prison, but also people headed down that path, and also other people who want to be a part of creating this new institution.
And Juan, what did you think when you first met Allison? Like, what was going on in your mind?
Wow. Like, I'm not used to people loving me and that don't even know me. I'm not used to that. I'm not even used to my immediate people showing me love, yet alone a stranger. But I immediately felt it. And I felt good just being in her presence. And I said, this is what I needed out here. I gotta change the person, places, and things I be around. I said, I can dig this. And
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. And I want to hear more of Juan and Allison's story. Hi, I'm Lauren Epstein, and you're listening to The Lauren Epstein Show, where we talk about jobs, careers, and the workplace, here on 96.7 FM. If you're interested in being on the show, you can give me a call at 240-876-0276 or email me at Lorne, Lorne, at electriccow.com. You can check out our Facebook page, which is Lauren Epstein, and also our Mixcloud account. So if you go to mixcloud.com, Lauren Epstein, you'll find our shows. Thanks so much. Welcome back. My name is Lauren Epstein. I'm the host of The Lauren Epstein Show. Today we are talking about worker co-ops, and I have Juan Reid and also Allison Basile. Did I get it right? Mm-hmm. Thank you. And we're talking about Juan and Allison's story on building a worker cooperative in DC. So you guys met in the park. Mm-hmm. It was just like kind of like, hey, hi, kind of like thing. Yeah. And then how'd that genesis happen? You shared stories, and who injected the idea of a co-op and a business and the...
Her, I believe. Basically, like, I was just walking down the alley, and her and her friend was in the park, and how you doing? I'm new around here. I've been living around here all my life, but I was in jail. So she just was so open. Like, I just opened up, and we became friends, and we was just like, she already was into the organizing work. So, hey, it's a protest going on. You want to go? Hey, it's this thing going on. You want to go? Hey, we going on the learning journey. We gonna pay y'all and everything. Y'all want to? I'm like, yeah. And I just started getting into meeting different people, getting out of the neighborhood.
And where'd the idea for Tightshift come from?
At that time, like I said, no one was hiring me, so I was Craigslisting. I was going in the neighborhood. I was like working anything, mowing your grass. I walk your dogs. Do you want me to go to the store for you? Anything. And my little slogan, I used to be like, I run a tight shift. They be like, that's a good, I run a tight shift. I like to talk trash about my work too. So
what does tight shift mean to you, the word?
It means freedom. That's it.
And people said you run a tight shift.
Ain't no question.
Why? What does that mean?
Because I do a great job.
Yeah. It means like thorough.
Means thorough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tight is in like you're on it.
Yeah.
You got all the bases covered.
And shift is just when we on, it's tight.
Yeah. So how do you set up a co-op? So my listeners are like, I don't really know if I understand co-op. I think we should talk about it a little bit because there are a lot of cooperatives. I mean, cooperative is kind of ubiquitous in our society, but I don't think we really make the distinctions. Do you want to give us an example of some cooperatives that are pretty popular or at least understandable to folks?
Sure. A lot of people have some experience with food cooperatives, which are a type of usually consumer cooperatives where you can become a member of the grocery store. Sometimes you pay a small fee. You vote on the board of directors, and you might get some special perks when you shop there. A lot of people are also familiar with housing cooperatives where people are co-owners of a building. They make decisions together about how maintenance gets done, how it's managed.
All apartments in New York are cooperatives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are some examples. Worker cooperatives, we have about 400 in the whole country. So not everyone has interacted with a worker cooperative, but they're growing. And like you were saying, how do they get started? If you want, I can share.
No, please, yeah.
There are different ways that they get started. One is converting from an existing business. this is a strategy that's being explored more and more as baby boomers are retiring, and there's sort of this open question as to who are going to be the owners of all of these businesses.
Right.
And converting to worker ownership through worker cooperatives, some through ESOPs, which are employee stock ownership plans. But hopefully there will be more and more worker cooperatives coming through this. That's one possibility.
There's a new law that just passed around ESOPs. But so an employee stock, so what happens is that, let's say you have a company with 100 people and the owners are just like, I want to retire. So what they do is they say, okay, my company is worth $1 million. Employees, I'm going to sell it to you. And over time, the owners take money out of the company and the employees start owning more and more of it. Now, the problem with ESOPs, what I've heard, is that the valuation set on the company is not based on like an actual accounting of what the company would be valued at. And sometimes it could just be made up by the owner. And that the people who are working in the company end up paying out for a long, long time because, of course, the owners are giving it a higher value. But anyway, so you're saying that folks are thinking about now converting to basically business owners can say, okay, well, I don't want my business to go away. I'm going to give it to my employees and get some kind of payout.
Yeah. So, for example, there's a funder called the Working World that will come in if there's a business where the owner wants to sell and basically lend. So the owner gets to take out some money. Usually those conversions are successful if management has a plan and is sort of working with the other employees to take on more and more management of the company. So yeah, for ESOPs, which aren't necessarily 100% employee owned, they can be from 0 to 100%, and they don't necessarily have to have any democratic component. For ESOPs, there's a lot of sort of technical support out there right now, and there's even tax breaks. So these are the kinds of things that we need to see for worker cooperatives, so that we can have more and more.
So this new legislation makes it easier for the SBA, the Small Business Administration, to fund ESOPs. So it allows resources to folks like who want to create, not on your end, but who want to convert from a corporation to an ESOP. But like the value of a co-op, I mean, it's the words right there, right? Cooperative. We're going to cooperate. And so in your cooperative, you have you said 15 or 16 people that are?
Yes.
Yeah. So right now they're going through their training program.
Yes.
And so for free, you're training them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're training them and they're working and you're paying them.
Yeah, it's just on hand.
Right. And then at some point, they get to buy in to where they own a piece.
Yes. After 1,000 hours, then it's $500.
$500.
Yeah.
And do you have a program where you help them set aside the $500?
They can do it prior and after. Once the time expires, once the 1,000 hours are reached, they can come up with a plan. Hey, I can afford $5 a month. I can afford $5 a week. I can afford $1 out of each check. However, it's no exploiting. We want people to own it with us.
Right. Right. So the amount of money is really a token.
Yeah, it's just
like a bar that people can easily get over for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so in owning this, now what does that give them? Like they own a piece of this company. Yeah, so what?
Security.
Tell me about that.
I see it like this in the first place. Technically, every business is a co-op. It takes cooperation to run a successful business. The people who do the work don't get paid and don't have a say-so. That's the only thing different. We have an LLC, just like any other business, but we share. It's not about come here, do your hours and go home. Come here, you do your hours. I see that you're not here. I see you not 100%. What's wrong? Let's talk. What you going through? I'm here for you. Like we are family. We are family, and we just been disenfranchised and locked out this economy, and it's time for us to stop letting people getting rich off our back.
Right, and so you're not the boss.
No.
And everyone has an equal say.
Horizontal.
Right. So if there's a vote or something needs to be decided upon, everyone has a vote.
Yes.
And everyone has a say.
So, yeah, exactly. So right now, Juan and I are the only legal members of the cooperative. So we had kind of gone around before we officially launched and wanted to launch with, 5 or 6 or 7 people. But cooperative ownership has a potential for big reward, risk, and it's also a huge responsibility. And we saw that all the hundreds of hours we were putting in, we couldn't find others who people needed work, and it's a very understandable thing. They really weren't willing to come to meetings before we had work. So we do what almost all worker cooperatives do, which is have this member apprenticeship period. And to build on the question about what is cooperative ownership, there are basically two primary components. One is governance, and the other is the economic ownership. So for governance, cooperatives can look a lot of different ways. As they get bigger, they're usually not completely horizontal. The people who have been there for more years, have more experience, may play a management role. But the difference is everyone has the opportunity to be management. There's a lot more pay, equity. And in terms of governance, everyone has a say on the most major decisions that affect their lives. So voting on the board of directors or changing the bylaws are like the bare minimum for worker cooperatives, but those that are interested in a truly participatory workplace have, people weighing in on everything.
And is it formed as an LLC?
Yeah, we're formed as an LLC.
So isn't there a maximum of like 100 people that can be on an LLC?
I'm not sure about that.
I'm asking.
Necessarily.
In my head, I had that.
I don't know that that's true.
Okay. So you, in your mind, you're like, you can have hundreds or thousands of people that are on this LLC, which you're calling a co-op. There's no special co-op business model per se.
Some states have statutes that lend themselves are worker cooperative statutes. DC has a cooperative statute that's a little better for housing cooperatives, and there are some folks working on potentially creating a worker co-op statute in DC. But LLCs are so flexible that sometimes, even when there are worker co-op statutes, they choose the LLC structure, but just following worker cooperative practices and protocols and incorporating that in the bylaws and the operating agreement.
I was just going to ask you about the operating agreement and the bylaws. Did you get them from somewhere? Did you write them from scratch?
We worked with some co-op lawyers, Parag and Dorcas, out of Baltimore, who are solidarity economy lawyers. So there's guides online, 32 questions to ask yourself before going to a lawyer to create your documents for a cooperative. And that helps you think through, how decisions are going to be made, how members are going to be added, how members could be removed, just all the various components that go into creating the legal structure. I was just going to say the other component is that economic ownership. So that's profit. So basically, if there are 5 people in the cooperative and let's say there's 10,000 in profit at the end of a year, we may decide together, okay, we need to put 3,000 back in the business, help fix the truck up, and then there's 7,000 left over. Basically, if those 5 members are full time, then that's just split equally, and that's what makes it a cooperative. So in these early stages, because of course we're not converting from an existing business, we're a startup business. So we're working up and getting more and more hours for people. And like many small businesses, there's very rarely profit in early years, and we're certainly seeing that too. So as people finish their 1,000 hours, they will hopefully be coming onto something that's newly profitable for them. So that's sort of part of the role that we're playing is getting the business to that point, while having people give meaningful, when we have team meetings, everyone who's in the room weighs in on all the decisions. So even though that's basically how we're practicing, because cooperatives are new to most people who we work with. And so getting to practice that every day, really just unlearning the dynamic of a boss and you don't have any responsibility or role into you have a responsibility and a role and a say. It's a process, and one that we're starting to practice now.
Yeah, it's a new mindset. I mean, being an owner is very different than being a worker, even though you're all working. So you've had a conventional job? You've been an employee?
I've been an employee, yes.
Yeah, and so how would you make the distinction between that and this?
When I was an employee, mostly at nonprofits in DC, there's little accountability, and you're often managing around like a manager's personality, you could say. Yeah, I mean, I think just the dignity inherent in cooperatives, even if you're not a full member yet, you're on the path, that what you put in, you get out and you get listened to. If you show up and you do your best, and yeah, I think there just is a different mood, and there's a lot of there's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of just unlearning what we've learned about how to be together and interact together. So, it's always going to be challenging, but we feel like it's a really worthwhile challenge.
And I'd like to hear from both of you, but what have been some of your biggest lessons so far in the last part of your journey recently?
That we actually do need a lot of healing. The people that I'm trying to reach haven't had jobs before. And it's hard for them to get that work ethic without the actual healing part, the actual part that I received. I had a chance to heal. I had a chance to go on trips and go out in the woods and be on a farm and learn farming and be in nature. I had a chance to be around people like that was just totally focused on me and my healing. And that's what we need. We don't have that. They're going to send you to a drug program or send you to a halfway house or send you somewhere. They just working about the time. All right, you're 30 days up. Bye. They don't care what happened after that.
Yeah. So after our first full year, we knew that even the occasional team meeting or training at those team meetings, we do a lot of just trust building, because that's really the most important piece of a cooperative, is the amount of trust and relationships between the members. But yeah, we saw that we need real healing resources, time and space, where people's basic needs are taken care of, where they feel like their families, if they have other obligations, can be taken care of, and really do some individual and collective healing. And we're really interested and excited about thinking about how to do this in a way that's not so I'm the healing expert and you're the person with all the problems, but just being
I'm gonna fix you.
Yeah,
you're broken, right? And that we all hear that. Right?
It's really the dominant paradigm, and
that.
it's often there's a lot of disconnection, and a lot of people can't even access at all that kind of healing because it doesn't work. And so we're thinking about how can we, in a solidarity style, create these healing spaces. And there's so many people we've met who are just like, I want to support this. I want to know the people involved and support them. And so we're thinking about, and then also just when our members and member apprentices come in a room, we've had team meetings where people are like, oh, we want to do team building. And people are like, oh, I'm not going to share. I don't know who that is across the table. They're from this neighborhood. They're from that neighborhood. And Juan's like, watch this. And tells a really personal story and just is really vulnerable and shares what's truly on his heart. And by the end of the hour, everyone's crying. Everyone has shared a deeply vulnerable story, and we're closer. We're closer. And the co-op is strengthened because of it. So yeah, those are some of the things we're thinking about. The lesson is, we need to dedicate time and resources to healing.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, just so with my experience of healing, hearing you, Juan, that's healing. Being in your presence is healing. I don't think it's a process or a doing. It's just being around you and being around, when he was around you and, your open heart, that heals. And your open heart heals. And people getting within 3 feet of you are going to heal, whether they want to or not, right? I mean, I can tell you that my staff and I are definitely not in the same place we were an hour ago because of your presence. And that's well, I mean, thank you. I mean, I'm just saying how it is, right? I mean, right? I'm looking at my producer and my engineer what do you guys think? You're in the room. I mean, if you're not getting this on the radio, I can tell you in the room, it's warm in here. There's a lot of love in the room. Right? Afote? And he doesn't say much afote. So he's healed. So, yeah. I love the show because I think that you have these ideas about business. Mm-hmm. And business is serious, and there's money, and agreements, and contracts. And then you're talking about healing people, which is, it's warm, and it's loving. It's about love. And, how do you marry the two? And I think you guys are demonstrating that, which is it's awesome. That's just awesome. That is the story. How do we make business work with human people? Because business is, we have a history of business not exactly doing that. And it's like continuing, right?
It's
and
just
you guys
extract and exploit and step on. And
yeah.
just abuse.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Right.
We ain't here for that.
Right. And I think that you clearly both have a lot of empathy. And whatever it is that opened up your empathy definitely worked. And that, you can feel. And when you can feel, then, all the other stuff is just like, we'll figure it out. Figure out how to get these people. So I think I'm just super psyched that you guys should go to tightshift.com and like buy their stuff. Like if you're not right now Googling TIGHTSHIFT.com, like right now, I'm not going to let you listen to the show anymore. You can't listen to the show anymore. You got to Google tightshift.com, buy their services. I don't care if you use somebody else. Buy their services. You're doing the right thing. Because these guys are doing the right thing. Right?
Like Spike Lee.
It's funny because I can tell you as a consumer, right? We're very picky about where we spend our money. So we don't shop at the major grocery chains. So we go to Mom's. We go to Mom's because they share our values. And thankfully, and we're privileged. I mean, we're just lucky, right? We got lucky. In the deck of cards, I got some lucky cards. I'm white, and I was never rich, but I mean, we were able to make a life.
You're not white. You human.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But you know what I'm talking about.
That's one of the things they separate. Nope, I don't know nothing.
No, you don't know.
That's one of the things they separate us.
There you go.
Unity. That's our focus. We are one. Like this, when we ball our fists up, we can't be stopped. Right. It's power. Once they open our hand, they can break any finger. Let's stop separating. We human beings.
So in the game of life, I think I had opportunities to make these decisions about where I spend my money, maybe more than other people, and I would rather spend my money with you than I would on like Merry Maids or on and on and on and on, because I want to support businesses that support life, that support love and support community and support things that are just like really cool and are going to make the world a better place. So I command you, listener. I can't do that, but I would invite you as listeners to really, I know some people are probably thinking like, oh, this is like far-fetched, but it's real. I mean, these guys, I'm looking at this guy.
Real.
This is real. I'm looking at Allison. This is real. This is really, really happening. They're really, really doing it. I mean, this is the way I'm sure that if we move forward as society and like hundreds of years from now, this is what we're going to be doing. Because this is sustainable. So I want you to tell me, like, I know you must have like your fantastical vision of what this is going to turn out to be. I'd love to hear it.
So, and just to add a little more.
So Juan puts his big smile on and looks at Allison because there's a story.
Just to make sure the listeners know, like what kinds of things we do. We do moving, hauling, cleaning, landscaping. We've built some fences and done some other odds and ends. So those are the sorts of things that we can help people with if they need vision. We see it getting as big as possible. Engaging people who are working there, people who are just a part of the community, people who are part of the healing, and getting bigger and bigger. We see building wealth, for the individual members who are part of it, and also to build collective wealth, to buy land outside of cities, which we see, people are less and less democracies, and DC, it's hard to argue that it's really largely controlled by developers' interests. But yeah, buying land outside of cities, growing food together, just sort of building communities the way that we want to live.
And our bylaws, a portion of our profit go into a fund to help start another co-op for some other people. So it's about just building co-ops like this. We can do it. Like, it ain't even hard. It's not hard. It's a lot of.
It might be hard. but it's still worth it.
It ain't hard. It's work. It's already been done.
Yeah,
it's all about connecting the dots.
So Juan knows hard. This isn't hard.
Yeah,
right?
It ain't.
Yeah,
it ain't hard.
fair.
Yeah. There's hard and then there's work.
Yeah.
So what's your big vision? I mean, what do you like? I know there's something juicy that's like hanging out there, some fruit that's like, oh,
I don't
man.
want to put no target on me.
No, I mean, you can just share if you want to.
I'm trying to.
You don't have to if you don't want to, but
I
think you're inspiring. I think sharing it would be like, I get it. Like, this is what the
shouldn't
end
no
game is.
human being ever be exploited. This is a earth. It shouldn't be no borders. It shouldn't be nobody. That's my big vision. I'm going for the grand slam. I don't want nothing in between. And it ain't about asking the people that make it hard for other people to do it for us. Connect. People got resources. Same people got money is talking about, oh, this ain't right. This ain't right. Empty your account. Let's throw all the money in the pot. Let's take all our money out of the banks.
Yeah, this private ownership of land is not the only way that things could be, and just a return to commons, just everyone being able to meet all of their needs is a world that we are working towards.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people would say, well, I want to have this, I want to have that. The thing is, when you say you want to have something, then someone else doesn't get something, right? If you're like, well, I want to own this land, and no one else can use this land, and you prevent people from having stuff when you accumulate so much. Like I personally believe that the people who are billionaires are just diseased. I mean, that's like, what are you going to do with all that stuff?
Yeah. Like,
what can you do with more than a place to live? And when you talk about the riches of life, like, this is the riches of life. It doesn't get any better than this. Having a loving, powerful conversation with people. This is as good as it gets. This and a ham sandwich. I mean, like,
It's bogus, though. Like, you can't own land.
What?
You can't own. It's all illusional. Right. It's all illusional. It's all force.
Right.
We are in the situation because they got an army. That's it. At the end of the day, they got an army that they say go, they gonna move. And we ain't ready to lay it down like that.
And just the idea of cooperatives and commons, like people, individualism, the culture of individualism is so alive and rampant, and it has so much to do with why we are where we are right now with the world headed where it's headed. And I think just like feeling viscerally, like connection to other people, doing meaningful work with other people changes you, and helps you think, oh, maybe I don't need all this land to myself. Maybe I can be really, really happy and satisfied working with other people and sharing. Because really, at the end of the day, if everyone is not able to be self-determining and free, then no one is. You're not safe.
Exactly.
So we know that creating those spaces where people can experience an alternative are a really important part of that transition.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not free or safe until everyone's free or safe.
Exactly.
That's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, we got a little more time. I want to just kind of take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about maybe some of the challenges that you've encountered.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Lauren Epstein. Every week I talk about jobs and careers on 96.7 FM, Arlington, Virginia at 10 a.m. Mondays. Welcome back. I'm your host, Lauren Epstein. You're listening to the Lauren Epstein Show here on 96.7 FM. Today we are talking to Juan Reid and Allison Basile about how to build worker co-ops and what they do to the community and people's lives. So, what have been some of the things that have gotten in the way, and how did you get over them? I mean, in like the structuring of the co-op piece.
I guess financing, having privilege. We don't have credit. I come from a place I can't go in the bank and get no money. Or my granddad didn't have no slave money, and I inherited it. So we got to start from the ground up, and being trained, a challenge, like having this space, like she said, to engage them. If it ain't about money, they ain't really trying to come, because they in survival mode. Like, they got to eat. And it's like having the resources to really, I just knew this was needed. But I didn't really think, I have to have a capacity to hold this that I'm trying to build for people. And we just started from the ground.
So, yeah, I mean, just to build off that, like competing with the alternative, which is either, you know, a full-time job, which most of our member apprentices did not have, or streets, more making money another way that puts them in a precarious position. We're basically competing. Like there's these two paths.
The competition for labor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And you want labor, and labor's got options like not so good sometimes.
Yeah.
So how do you make that argument when somebody's like, well, I can make more money doing these things, even though it may be not the right thing to do?
Well, it's kind of just about what we can give, you know, making the argument. It's just, you know, showing love and showing support. But it kind of comes down to how many hours of work do we have for people? How many other activities during those non-work hours do we have the time and space and resources to spend together, to be doing other things? So that's just a challenge in our first years. We launched in December 2016, been going for about a year and a half, and, you know, we're getting more and more work, but people are working, you know, between 5 and 15, 20 hours a week. And we need more. So that's, I would just say, one of the bigger challenges. It's inherent in kind of any startup business. It's not really specific to cooperatives, but one that we're navigating as people are in day-to-day survival mode. And we're trying to work with people in that place.
So when someone comes and says, hey, I want to be a member, and what's the age? 18? Or
No.
They can work be a member of the
As long
co-op.
as they can work. From 2 to 80 to 88.
No, but there's like a minimum age.
Yeah, we haven't
guess,
had any younger teenagers, you know, asked to work, so it hasn't come up. But yeah, any work age we would
and
accept.
so they come and say, hey, I want to do this, and then how many hours do they get a week?
It really depends on where people are. How are they struggling with addictions? Because, you know, part of this balance of love and the world we want to build, we also are building a business that's existing in this world. And, you know, if you're addicted to certain things, we can't send you in people's houses. So maybe you'd be okay on this landscaping job, and we have some of these, but moving, you know, people need to be at a different place to be able to do those jobs well, so that the cooperative can continue to exist and grow.
So do you get them help, or how do you, like, if somebody comes and they're
Like, if they want help, we take them to detox. If they need stuff, we go there and visit them and like give them anything they need. Like, get yourself together. We here for you. Like one of our goals is to have it in house. Like have a drug counselor like at home. So we already like a program. We already doing it.
Juan met somebody outside of Organic Market who asked for money, and he gave him a Tightshift card, and so he's been calling us and me, and he needed an ID. This is a big issue that people in our community runs into, is not having proper ID, not having a bank account, not having what you need to get a job.
How would you help somebody get an ID?
So
take them down there, like. We save their money. If you want a savings account, we take them to get their bank account. We like take them. We go. We there. Every step of the way, we pay for them to Uber. We Uber them to work. Hey, you want to go to work? I ain't got no right. Where you at? Uber on the way.
Can't wait to use a taxi co-op when there is one. But for now, it's Uber. And yeah, like, so for this person that Juan met, I just ordered I was on the phone with them, and we could do it online. And so I like ordered his ID for him to receive, and now it's this question of people really need phones to be able to coordinate with us. So, okay, are there still government phones available for people, or we're not sure with the changes that are happening if that's still available, but there are some cheap phones So even exploring just providing those to people, and they can pay it off slowly, or we can just, with the idea, with the ID fee, we're not gonna ask him to pay that $22 back, but it really helps him take the next step.
And so the folks that are listening, because we have got a few more minutes, what can they do to help other than, like I told them, go to the website tightshift.com? What can they do? What do you need aside from customers? Obviously,
okay, to help.
Got to tell people what to do.
First, I really call us, book us, give us that
call
time.
You at, give me your number
at tightshift.com 443-562-5856.
Say it again.
443-562-5856.
And what are some of the things that are listening? Like people are like compelled to do something. What would you need?
Okay, we also have a GoFundMe page.
Money?
Yes.
What about experience? Training? Do you need
training?
People? Advice? Anybody who?
Advice?
Things?
Equipment? Old equipment you want to donate? We need equipment. Parking space for a truck, and we also have a GoFundMe page up. And
how do they get to the GoFundMe page?
On our
it's GoFundMe.com/Tightshift. We also have a Facebook page, Tightshift Laboring Cooperative, Tightshift on Twitter, and the links
Instagram.
are the GoFundMe links are there as well. If you want to be a part of the healing community, if you want to just be kept in the loop, you can sign up for our emails on our website. Yeah, and when you
so healers like doctors, nurses, people who do healing work come and help out.
Drug abuse counselors, massagists, herbalists, like all organic, natural, like we can do it.
And what's the number again?
443-562-5856.
Awesome. You think we're running a telethon here? Well, I got to say, I've been doing this a couple of years. I don't think I've ever been left more moved than I am now.
Wow.
So I think if I'm moved, my listeners are moved. I know my crew is moved. This is it's phenomenal to have you here. So thank you.
We had one more thing.
Yeah.
Okay. We also partnered up with a group called LinkedIn.
Link up
officially. Link up officially.
Uh-huh.
And they have a website, and it's basically like they doing a lot of work around true organizing about affordable housing and creating a magazine for. We trying to create a magazine by prisoners, and they have look them up too. Linked up officially.
Link up, it's official on Instagram. Yeah, that's just a part of the mosaic. So if we're building work for people, we've got people organizing for housing, for some of the same people, having relationships with people in prison as they're coming home. So yeah, that's just an example of another part of this ecosystem of change.
Awesome. Allison, how can folks reach you if they want to?
That's actually my number 2 right now. Our email, which I check, is info@tightshift.com, TIGHTSHIFT. And 443-562-5856.
Awesome. Thank you both.
Thanks
for being here.
Thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
I'm your host, Lauren Epstein. You've been listening to The Lauren Epstein Show here on 96.7 FM, Arlington, Virginia. We'll see you next week. For your listening pleasure,
Juanitos. That's my stage name. Juanitos.
Juanitos.
Yeah, Juanitos.
Here on the Lauren Epstein Show, you're going to hear a rap.
All right, I'll say, so many are called upon, but only a certain few are chosen. Every cold-blooded choice that we make remains frozen. That's timeless. Feasibly seeking, if ye find it, understand it, define it peacefully, not with violence. Recently, in confinement briefly, I was reminded to guide my pathetical thoughts. Dear hypothetical torch, reach out and shine, illuminate my direction. Is the goal I'm out to control, a fate imperfected? I was told that you reap what you sow. If I plant this seed of perspicacity, my people can grow. The secret I know is only kept secret from those who chose to not smell the truth when it's under their nose, like the wonderful rose releasing a fragrance. I constantly sniff through that bullshit until I'm satisfied I've gained sense. Now ain't this a illusion? We the lowest household income. How we still the biggest consumers, never less than the greatest of nations. But the lack of the knowledge of self got us in a state of self-hatred. I'm in the zone now, the master of the slave and the bad cases of whip lashes and hangings from these sadists and racists. Let me take a step back to the basics and deal with reality face to face till I can actually taste it. I took the 21 books between Acts and the Revelations, attacked them through meditation. Reaction was elevation. This to the ghetto where crack is the medication and blacks and Latins are placed to be cuffed and shackled in cages.
Wow. Wow. That was awesome. That was awesome, man. That was powerful.